Hi guys, what is up? Welcome back, and today you join me in my new Lexus GS300. So I'm going to give you a bit of a backstory to this car. I'm going to timestamp this because this is going to be a long and boring story. So if you're not interested whatsoever and you just want to see a little tour of the car, skip ahead. But I'm going to tell you kind of how this came about. So I was looking for a kind of second car for the channel. I was looking for a project car, and I kind of considered the Mark II Lexus GS. So I was looking at the GS300s in particular, sort of from 1997, 98 to 2001-ish. That kind of era car, something that I could just modify and all that kind of thing. So I thought a great place to start is actually on Facebook Marketplace. There's lots of hidden gems on there, and I kind of scroll through regularly, having a little look for cars, seeing if there's anything of interest on there. So I ended up joining the Lexus owners page, just pretty much to see if there was anything on there that was for sale. And I put up a post saying, is there anything in my area? Not many people really responded. There was a few tatty cars and things like that. And I wasn't really desperate for a second car. I've got no particular need for it right now. So I thought, you know, why not? Let's just put the feelers out, see what's out there. Now, this lovely gent got back to me and he said, I've got this car for sale. And he posted a picture of the car that I'm sat in right now, which is the 2005 Mark III GS300. I specifically said that I didn't want a silver car because I don't really like silver cars, but I do think this is quite a period correct colour for the car, and I also think that it's so easy to maintain. Now, I'd always been interested in the Mark III. When I was sort of younger in school, one of my teachers bought a IS of the same generation. I think it was a 2006 IS, and it was brand new at the time, and I just idolised it. I thought it was such a cool car, and it was so different to what everyone else was driving. And I saw the GS, and I had on some of my kind of video games, a Lexus GS Mark III, and I never really considered it. All of these seem to be advertised as CVT cars, but in actual fact, the GS300, in fact, all of the non-hybrid versions are actually just a 6-speed automatic. I believe they potentially came with an 8-speed as well, but in terms of the normal cars like the GS300 that I've got here, it's a 6-speed auto, just a traditional torque converter. So I was shocked by that because I just had the impression that they were all CVTs, even the normal ones, but it's actually just the hybrids that's CVT. So that was great news to me because that was one of the things that really put me off the Mark III. And also the styling, it's not the sort of car that you can... I've seen a few modified that look quite nice, but the Mark II is where it's at for modifications, and that's what I was after. So I had a chat to this guy, we got chatting, and he's a really nice fella, and we kind of got talking about cars, and we got talking about YouTube, and we got talking about what we did for a living, and just generally nice to kind of find someone a little bit like-minded. And after a little while, he said, look, he said, come down, I'll give you a test drive of it and you can have a look around it and I'll tell you the story about the car and we'll go from there. And I said, fine, sure. So I went down to him. He told me about the fact that the car was previously owned by an elderly neighbour, someone who really loved the car, really looked after the car, and he was a Lexus freak. He always had Lexuses, always maintained them quite well, and he'd unfortunately passed away, and the car had ended up in this gentleman's hands just to kind of look after until it found a new owner. So he's had it for sort of a period of about 6 months. And it is in quite nice shape. The only thing really, as I've sort of looked around the car, there's some fading on the bumper and there's a slight bit of damage to the rear bumper, not noticeable at all from distance. And of course the usual Lexus crusty wheels. We'll go through a full exterior and interior walk around in a second. Also, you'll see just behind me here, there's some real bad wear of the leather as you get in the car. I assume he probably kind of struggled in and out of the car, this elderly gent. And that's kind of caused that there. But apart from that, and some baby seat marks in the back there, the leather's in really nice shape in here. Everything is in a really nice way. Oh, ice cream. So what really enticed me to this car was the price. Now, I've had a look on Auto Trader at cars with similar mileage and similar conditions since, and they seem to range from about sort of £2,500 for a really crusty one up to sort of nearly £4,000 for one that's really nice, that's been rigorously maintained. I'd say this is somewhere in the middle of those two. I'd say this particular car is in quite nice shape. There's a few little bits that could do with some kind of cleaning up, but nothing crazy. Maintenance has been good. It runs absolutely flawlessly and drives lovely. So I'd say it's probably somewhere in the middle of those two conditions. So the guy only wanted 1,600 quid for this car, and I thought that is an absolute bargain, and that's why I went to look at it, because I just thought I've been offered that sort of money for a decent Mark II before, and they've not been in great condition. So I thought I might as well check this out and just see what it's all about. So I went down there, we had a look around the car, we had the nice afternoon chatting cars, and we eventually shook on £1,400. £1,400 for a good condition Mark III GS, in my opinion, is a steal. He just wanted the car to go to a good home and to live on, and what better way to live on than to show you guys around it. So let's get into the full tour. This is the cheapest Mark III Lexus GS in the UK. I've actually seen spares or repairs cars for more than this, so I think I got an absolute bargain here. Let me know what you guys think when we've had a bit of a walk around of the car. I'm going to be doing a full review of this later on. And don't worry, the Cupra hasn't gone anywhere. Plenty of content on that to come. I've still got the Saab as well, and I've got some other stuff lined up over the summer. So now that we're coming out of the COVID restrictions, things are going to really improve, hopefully. So let's take a proper look around the car and see what it's all about. So it's a 2005. I didn't really want a silver one because I'm not a big fan of silver cars, but as you can see, it's filthy at the moment. It doesn't really show, so that is a major benefit. You've got a little bit of damage back here. You can't really see it too well, a bit of lack of peel, nothing too crazy. Considering the price I paid, it is in really nice shape. You can see there's no major damage anywhere. You've got that bit of lack of peel there. Unfortunately, as with Lexus, wheels are all crusty. They've been gone over in hammerite, and the previous owner called them 3-pace wheels. They look all right from 3 paces back. Anything closer than that is a no-go. It's a proper slab of car, this. And only other thing that's not ideal is the front bumper. Where they're plastic, there's some kind of like abrasion. It doesn't show up too well on camera. You can kind of see it here in the light, like it's almost like cracks in the paint. You can kind of feel where it's almost like it's not been properly clear coated. And it is just the bumper. It's plastic, so I don't know whether this has maybe been a bit of a scrape before and had that resprayed poorly. But it doesn't really show, again, being silver, it doesn't really show from a bit further back. So it's not really an issue, to be honest. I do prefer the hybrid trim, the like the 450h, that kind of thing, with the nicer wheels and the sort of more chrome strips on the side and that. But it's a very Americanized car. And I think the kind of the bubbled body shape does make it not only more modern, but also look like more of a luxury car than its competitors at the time. Whether that's just placebo or what, but I just saw another one of these 450H in white in my local supermarket, and I thought it just looks a lot more expensive than it actually was, because it's so reminiscent of the LS of the time, just in styling. And there is the clean V6. This is the 3GE, unfortunately not the 2J. It is, however, a very reliable Toyota beast. So then, inside the Lexus, door panels really nice. You've got this dark wood trim here, nice and quiet inside, soft touch materials everywhere, not very squishy up here, as much as I'd like. And I always kind of thought that this centre stack looks a little bit cheap. I don't know, just the way these plastic buttons are, I don't know, just something about it I'm not too keen on. But overall in here, it's a really nice place to be. Really comfortable chairs, not quite as nice in terms of shape as the Saab, I don't think, but they still are like armchairs, really nice quality leather, and it's perforated as well. You can see how nice and squidgy this seat material is here. Yeah, just really nice, and it's got all of the controls for the heated and ventilated seats down here, and you've got your driving modes here on this switch, and you've got your traction control off button here, your gear shift lever, which is in a nice place with regards to the armrest, the kind of the strange gated auto, which I'm not a massive fan of. I prefer just a straight up and down, but here we are. You've got some cup holders in there which are actually really nicely designed. And again, I really like this dark wood trim that's been optioned in here with the grey leather. I'm not a massive fan of the kind of the lighter wood with the cream. I prefer this darker interior combination. Loads and loads of airbags and safety things. You've also got a rear electric blind in here as well. You've got a sunroof which tilts and telescopes with, disappointingly, a manual shade. It's a bit of an oversight in a car where everything else is electric, but still nice nonetheless. Obviously not quite from a time when panoramic roofs were quite a thing just yet. Auto dimming mirror. And yeah, just quite a big glove box in here as well. All of the seats have memory controls, so you can see the memory controls for the seats just here. It starts first time on the button, which is absolutely lovely. You've got the electronic glass on the dials here, so it uses a electronic system to tint the glass when it's really bright out, so you'll notice the dials turn slightly blue where it's tinting the glass to stop the reflections off of the brushed aluminium faces, which is quite interesting. But yeah, everything's quite nice in here. Switch gear is all quite good. You've got the Mark Levinson premium surround system option in this one as well. So this is the SEL model. So this is basically like the top spec, which is why you see so many things on this. And Lexus were really good at actually having all of the options available as standard. When you compare to kind of the Mercedes and the BMW counterparts, the Audi, they do have a big options list in comparison to what the GS has. The only things really that were prominent options on an SEL, which is the top spec of the GS 300 or you know, the other GS range, you could get this with a wood finish to match the rest of the interior, and you could also get radar cruise control, which this doesn't have. It just has the standard cruise control. But let's fire her up. You've got the engine start stop button around here. There we go. So it's got check control, shows the check just there. Yeah, this whole system is hilariously outdated. It's a resistive touchscreen, so you can feel it making the connection. Makes this kind of beeping noise when you touch it. You do have an information side, so you've got like maintenance information in here, and you can kind of look at what needs doing. You can go back and you can set a few of the settings in here. There's interestingly like a full-on calendar. You can actually kind of go in and make memos and stuff like that, which is bizarre. I've not seen anything like that before. I do like this traditional digital clock with the outside temperature as well. You've got your audio settings, so you've got FM, you've got a 6 CD changer, which is a slot load built into the dash, so there's no faffing about kind of going to the rear of the car or anything like that. You've got tape deck, which is interesting. The Mark Levinson surround system has got like 7.1 functionality as well, so you can kind of control the equalizer in there, and then you've got a surround setting. Very good system. I believe it's 14 speakers, something like 350 watts. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm going to do a full review of this car soon, so I'll be kind of going more into detail about everything in that. But I quite like this little command center down here as well. You push on this button and then it gives you access to all of the other hidden controls. So you've got stuff to do with the brightness of the display, you've got the boot trunk lid opener, you've got the fuel cap opener, you've got the mirror controls, mirror folding, electric folding, and you've got the rear sunshade as well. So if I press the rear sunshade, you'll see that pop up just there. So that's all electric, that works lovely. And as you can probably see and hear, it runs and idles really nicely. Starts on the button first time. It's a 3-litre V6, 245 brake horsepower, and I would describe it as adequate. I'm going to go and do a first drive review of this soon, and also a full in-depth review as well, but just kind of wanted to go through the car with you guys and have a look. This is lovely. The action on this here, it's like a soft open, and it's absolutely wonderful. There's no creaking or rattling. It's nicely weighted, just feels really well engineered. There's a dash cam wired into the cigarette socket in there. But yeah, just really nice. It's really refined in here. Obviously it's not quite the same as like a double glazed car with air suspension and all that kind of thing like with the higher end luxury cars, but with regards to just kind of how spacious it is and the layout, everything in here is LED, which is interesting considering it's quite an old vehicle. So like all your spotlights are LEDs and things like that. They've got little projectors in there, which I really like. Yeah, really smooth. For a V6, it feels really smooth and refined in here. Definitely obviously not up there with a sort of V8 or a V12 luxury car, but nonetheless, I'm really impressed with kind of how soft it feels inside the car. There's no kind of rough idle. It's all quite, you can't really feel any vibration in here. If you had the music on, you probably wouldn't even know the car was running. So yeah, just a really nice all-round kind of mid-range luxury car. I think in comparison to the competitors of the time, I think it's just something a little bit different. Definitely a lot more reliable than the German counterparts, and they never offered a diesel version of this car, only the hybrid V6 and V8. So yeah, interesting. Obviously this being the you can see there 22.2 mpg average, being the naturally aspirated V6 3-litre version, you're definitely not going to do well on fuel in this car, unfortunately. It's also recently had 4 new tyre pressure monitoring sensors and some new tyres, so I think that kind of makes it even more of a bargain. It's had some recent work done. So there we have it, guys. That is the first look at my 2005 Lexus GS300. Something that I find a little bit bizarre to say. I never thought I'd own one of these cars. I always looked at Lexuses with interest, and obviously this wasn't what I was actually looking for when I was looking to sort of buy a second car. I'm probably just going to sell this on. I'm going to clean it up and do something with it. As much as I'd love to slam it and ruin it with coilovers and put some nice wheels on it and stuff like that, I really have no need for the car right now. And if we're going to go for a project on the channel, I'd like something that I can tinker with a little bit more. So yeah, we'll see what to do with it. But for now, I've got it as a second car, nice little cruiser. If you've got any questions or you want to see more on the Lexus, please let me know in the comments below. And don't worry, more content on the Cupra coming soon as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.